as you just told me, there are somewhat between 60 to 64 people that made two unicorns, right? And you are one of them. So we can say it's luck, or we can say you have something different. And when we're talking about yourself, I know it's hard to talk about yourself, but in your opinion, or in the opinion of others close to you, what usually you do different? I mean, what kind of mindset and habits do you have that makes you do things differently or think differently on your business? Because there are two unicorns, and as I can see, more to come.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
mindset and habits, what do you have differently? Or not differently, but what are those?
So, it's interesting because I remember that after Movit acquisition, someone came to me and said, look, I don't know if you have a method or you are a lucky son of the beach, and I don't care. I'm going to invest with you, right? So luck is good, right? And I think that what I heard, one of the stories that I heard is about Silverstein, which is the real estate guru of New York today. And he was building a World Trade Center and pretty much everything on the Hudson River. So he's really successful as a real estate. And he was asked how he becomes such a successful real estate developer. And he said, tell you the truth, this is 85% luck and 15% skills, right? Mm-hmm. And then he was asked if he can change one thing, what exactly it's going to be. And he said, I'm going to replace the 15% skills with additional 15% luck. So luck is always good, right? No one is complaining. But for me, luck means that opportunity meets readiness. Mm-hmm. And readiness is something that we can work on. Opportunity, there are many of them. By the way, when you're ready, then you will see way more opportunities than everyone else, right? I think that there are few behaviors that I have that makes that work better, right? So, and part of it is accepting the fact that we don't know. Mm-hmm. Now, if we don't know, then what we need to do is try. Right. And when we try, then we will discover, right? And so if someone will come to me, okay, this is my go-to-market plan, then I will tell you, okay, this is your list of experiments that you're going to make, right? Because when you think about them as experiment, then you say, okay, what I really want to do is qualify or disqualify. I don't care if I qualify or disqualify, but as long as I do it fast. So moving fast is about accepting the fact that we don't know. Mm-hmm. Focus on the user, on the customer, right? Being always in touch with the customers to understand what works for them and what doesn't work for them. This is how you make progress. Mm-hmm. And so it's the method of allowing you to try and error and move fast that is increasing the likelihood of being successful. And when I essentially take that and, guide mentor my CEOs and help them to become successful, then I can do that more than just one at a time. I can do that with 8 companies, right? Mm-hmm. And that's my secret sauce, right? And I think that part of it is now is that something that that other people have? Oh, definitely, yes. A lot of people have that. Maybe not as many, but a lot of people have the same behavior that makes them successful.
Mm-hmm. So, from what I can see, it's probably 2 things: accepting the fact that we don't know, so we try, we make a list of experiments and do it fast, and we stop fast because we don't know. And the second is focus on the user. Always in contact with customers.
On the value that you create to the user.
On creating value, of course. On creating value.
But you learn the value by having a dialogue with the user, right? So the focus is on the problem, right? Or on the value that you create. Mm-hmm. But you realize that when you speak with the users, right? So if you'll tell me users are wrong, then you are wrong.
Okay. Last but not a quick question, but I want to go deeper onto this one. Is on key principles that should guide an entrepreneurial successful journey. we talked a lot about this, but in your opinion, what are the key principles that makes a business successful? For example, business model, sales team, a good CEO. Can you list some of the key principles that comes to your mind, and then we may dive deeper into some of those?
Resilience, making hard decisions with conviction, listening to customers.
So by resilience, you mean making hard decisions
No,
with
resilience is resilience, right? This
Okay.
is never give up, right?
Uh-huh.
Making hard decisions with conviction. Listening to customers or understanding your customers or your users. I actually have a very good story about that. And probably agility, right? Because in particular, when you are building startup, and this is really the difference between startup and in a corporate, right? So in a corporate, you know what happens, right? So this is my product, this is my sales, the sales process or pricing model or whatever it is, my business model, this is my growth strategy. I know everything. In a startup, you know nothing, right? You have a vision, and then you need to figure out product market fit, and then after that, you need to figure out the business model, and after that, you need to figure out growth. And all those journeys, each one of them is going to be a long roller coaster journey of failures. But moving from one phase to another phase, it's really challenging because everything that was important up until now is not important anymore. Now we focus on the next part of the journey. So moving to the next part of the journey is something that is really dramatic in a startup and not that important in a corporate because we don't have that. One of the things that, as I mentioned earlier, Steve Wozniak wrote the foreword to my book. I met Steve Wozniak for the first time about 10 years ago. We spoke at a conference in Guatemala. And the organizer of the conference, we were both keynote, so I think that he was opening and I was closing the day, or maybe it was the other way around. And the evening before, the organizer of the conference arranged for a dinner. And so I went to the dinner with Steve Wozniak. Now, we have to realize that when I grew up, Steve Wozniak was my technological guru, right? He was the technological guru of the world. And also for me, and that was an opportunity for me for the first time in my life to meet my guru. And, I know that this is dinner, but the only thing that was matter for me is actually to have a selfie with him. So I took out my iPhone. And I was lucky to have an iPhone. And with the iPhone, when you take pictures, you can click here.
Uh-huh.
But you can also use the volume button right here. And this is exactly what I did. I did a selfie with him like that. And I used the volume button. And he said, "Finally." And I said, "Finally what?" He said, "Finally someone using it the way that I meant it to be." Now you think about it and you say, okay, what exactly is that? But the iPhone was an evolution, right? An evolution from a PDA and smartphone and digital camera. This is how we used to take pictures with digital cameras, clicking right here where the volume button is. So it made perfect sense, except the fact that people are using it differently. Now, I do that occasionally when I have a lot of audience, and this is maybe a question that you would like to ask your audience. When you're using Waze, Waze guides you to your destinations in two different ways, right? So it shows you on the screen which turns to make, right? But it also guides you via audio, turn right, turn left, and so forth. And then I ask the audience, if you are watching the screen, raise your hand. And about 70% of the people are going to raise their hand. And I ask them, okay, if you are listening to the audio, raise your hand. And then I have about 25% raising their hand. And I ask them to look around you. You don't know that there are other people that are using it differently. And to be frank, you don't care. And now you do know that there are people that are using it differently and you still don't care. But if you're building the product and you don't know how your product is being used, then you're building the wrong product. And there's only one way that you can find that out. Watch the users. You have to be out there with the customers, with the users to see, not only to speak with them, but to actually see what they're doing with your product and how they perceive the value, because this is what's going to make you successful. Mm-hmm. There is a chapter here that calls sample of one, right?
Sample of one.
At the end of the day, as a user, I'm an excellent sample of one person. That's it. there are other people. Now, if you are building product and you don't understand that, and you think that you are the user, you are building the wrong product.
That's good.
O maior evento de educação financeira do mundo está chegando, é isso mesmo, FinDay 2024, dia 19 de outubro, serão mais de 10 horas de conteúdo, grandes nomes do mercado, temos Thiago Nigro, Bruno Perini, Guilherme Bentimol, Flávio Augusto, Clóvis de Barros, Paulo Guedes, Felipe Spritzer, Cristina Junqueira, ou seja, um baita de um evento para você curtir o dia inteiro. Serão mais de 25 mil pessoas numa plenária gigante, no maior evento que o Grupo Primo já fez. E para você fazer parte disso, vou deixar aqui um link na descrição e você também pode seguir o Instagram FinDay_Grupo Primo para você ficar por dentro de todas as informações, tirar suas dúvidas e tudo mais, beleza? Espero você lá.